This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Work can be a little weird. Cringy training seminars, coworkers who won't stop talking about their plant, forgetting the mute button at an inopportune moment. We have to deal with a lot on any given workday. Sometimes it can feel hard to thrive and move forward in your career. Well, that's where LinkedIn comes in. LinkedIn helps you get ideas and insights from experts in your field, connect with people professionally, grow your network, and access tools designed to help you find the right fit for your next role. Whether you're just getting started, figuring out your next move, or looking to accelerate your career, LinkedIn is built to support you at every stage because LinkedIn is the network that works for you. Visit linkedin.com/knowstuff to learn more. Stuff at Sea is a 5-night adults-only sailing trip that brings the Stuff podcast universe to life on board. This voyage is a culture-soaked escape where pink sand paradise meets curious minds. Sailing round trip from New York City to Bermuda on October 2nd to 7th, 2026, this voyage drops you straight into the iHeart Podcast Stuff universe. On top of the adults-only experience you already love, you'll get live podcast episode recordings, behind-the-scenes sessions, themed activations, and more unmissable onboard moments. Learn more at virginvoyages.com/stuff.
Welcome to Stuff You Should Know, a production of iHeartRadio's How Stuff Works.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Josh Clark, and there's Charles W. Chuck Bryan. There's Jerry over there, and we're just bouncing around with giddiness about this episode on trampolines.
I saw that coming from a mile away.
You did not.
Yeah, I knew there would be some jumpy, bouncy metaphor.
Well, you know me very well after these 11 years. 11 years.
It's good. You didn't disappoint.
Good. I don't like disappointing you, Chuck. It feels really rotten.
Yeah, especially since I'm wearing a T-shirt that says, "You've disappointed me again."
Josh. And it's got that pointing finger right at me. Thanks.
Comma, Josh. Yeah, it actually is three-dimensional. It comes out of the shirt just so you know I'm pointing at you.
I can see it. It's like a Magic Eye poster.
Oh, goodness.
So speaking of goodness, Chuck, we're talking about trampolines. But it's funny that I would say goodness because it turns out trampolines have a lot of badness to them.
Yeah, they're danger pits.
Yeah, they are. Big time.
Well, pits if it's one of those built into the ground things.
Yeah, trampoline in a pit.
Have you ever been on a trampoline?
Sure. I had one in high school.
Oh, really? You owned one?
It was inherited from the people who previously owned the house.
Ah, that old move.
And they took maybe half of the springs with them when they moved, apparently, because you could make contact with the ground pretty easy on that one.
Yeah.
And actually, if you go onto my Instagram, Josh Clark, you can see a little photo spread of me bouncing around a trampoline park, totally oblivious to the amount of danger I was actually in.
What?
What do you mean, what?
I mean, I got to look that up. I didn't know that existed.
I talk to you about my Instagram account like every couple of days.
Well, I mean, pictures of the trampoline, A, and B. I'm not on Instagram at all, so I got to
What? You have to what?
Well, I don't know. I mean, how do you find something on Instagram if you're not on Instagram? Can you just Google?
I think you have to go. Yeah, you got to. No, you can. You can just Google it, I believe.
Okay.
I'll show you later. I'll show you after this.
All right.
But anyway, it's pretty great. You're going to love it. But there was one point in time where I landed flat, and this is in the photos, flat on the back of my head, upside down. And there was a crack and everything, and I was like, whoa, that was crazy. But after researching this, Chuck, I was like, I can't wait to die and go to heaven, if there is such a thing, and a place. So I can be like, I've got to know. How close was I to full body paralysis that one time at that trampoline park? And I guarantee when they tell me, I'm going to shudder with just, I don't know, some sort of proximity fear, maybe? I don't know what else you would call that kind of thing.
Or what if they say, here, I'm going to issue a ticket number, and you're going to have to go down that wing where they handle near-death experiences.
That's fine. I go spend some time. It's eternity after all. I've got time to kill.
It feels like it would be very bureaucratic.
I could see that, sure.
Yeah.
A lot of pencil pushing.
I had trampoline experience, and my only trampoline experience really was elementary school. When we had you know how in elementary school, at least at mine, they would have I don't know, you do like one sport for a month or something.
Yeah, I remember that.
We did trampolines for a little while, and our gym teacher was a legit gymnast of some kind, and he could do all the things. And we had the 1980s, rectangular. They weren't even the mats, as we'll learn. We'll learn all about the trampoline in a minute, but the little bouncy part you bounce on, it was not solid. It was like a checkerboard.
I don't understand.
Well, it wasn't a solid piece of fabric. It was
invisible.
It was a weave.
Okay,
And
but I mean,
with
like
little tiny with little squares in between.
so like a net.
Yeah,
I have never seen what you're describing.
yeah.
Wow.
Like your toe could go through it.
So Chuck, let me ask you this then.
Okay.
When you would rotate out for new things like every month?
Yeah.
Did you guys ever do the thing where like you'd have a parachute and everybody would pull and lift the parachute up at once and it would be somebody's turn to run underneath and you had to make it to the other side before the parachute covered you?
I remember that, sort of, yes.
Okay. Now, had your gym teacher done the opposite of that, where you put somebody in the middle of the parachute on top and everybody pulls it taut so that the person is launched in the air?
The Lebowski, yes.
Yeah, the Lebowski. You would have been doing what is one of the only things that somebody can point to as a predecessor to the trampoline, because it is almost virtually its own invention.
Yeah, I love how you brought that around, my friend.
Thank you.
The Grabster wrote this for us, and he does make a point that even before that, people just liked anything they could bounce on. It's just sort of, it seems intuitive as a human that's fun and thrilling.
Right. Whether
Whether it's like, hey, this log that fell across the creek has some spring to it, and that's fun.
What? Sure.
Or this board that spans an opening. What was the opening called in that horror story?
Have you lost your mind?
No, remember the Halloween horror thing that we did with the creek and what was that called?
I don't. Oh.
Remember there was a word and you even looked it up.
Yeah, and it was a specific place.
Anyway,
I don't remember.
A board spanning that.
You're talking about bridges. We're talking about trampolines today. You realize we're talking trampolines.
I'm so tired. I'm like hallucinating.
So it's coming through loud and clear, buddy.
Good.
So there's the cloth or fabric that you could launch somebody up in the air.
The Lebowski.
With. There was a log apparently that people jumped on. But there was this kind of people figured out that it was kind of fun to get up into the air, and I saw it was one of those things, we're always warning people when they ask us how to research that if you see the same thing everywhere on the internet, it's probably wrong. I saw that about how there's in China, Iran, and Egypt, there's depictions of people using trampoline-like devices. Didn't see anything beyond that, so it's probably made up. But we can point to when the trampoline was invented, and it was actually fairly recent. Like what we think of a trampoline came about in, I think, like the 1930s, over the period of a few years.
Yeah, now are we going to tell people what a trampoline is first, or are we going to talk about the history and then tell people what a trampoline is?
No, I'm glad you did this, Chuck, because yes, not only do we have what a trampoline is, I got a little bit of physics too to throw in too.
I had a feeling.
Okay.
So a trampoline, if you've never driven out into rural Georgia, that's where I see them.
Yeah, the people in the rural areas like the trampolines. There's not a lot to do out in rural areas.
I think that's the deal. I was kind of wondering, like, why do I see those when I drive out to the country, but I don't see them as much in urban areas? And I think of space, A, and B, it's just a very cheap way to be like, here you go, kids. Knock yourself out for the next 10 years, literally.
Literally, yeah.
All right, so trampoline is a frame that has a bouncy surface in the middle of it.
Right.
The frame is a very rigid, usually steel frame. And then the mat, as it's called, is held together with these tight coiled springs, or not held together, but strapped to the frame. And it's not, it's those springs is where you get the bounce. It's not the actual material, although that could have a little bounce to it.
It's got a little give because it's woven. It's like a seatbelt.
Yeah.
So super tightly woven that fabric, that mat is.
Right, and that's the larger trampolines. They do have the little smaller Like, I guess people used to use them to exercise and stuff like that.
Did you not have one of those?
No, we never had one of those.
I think it had to do with jazzercise maybe or something like that.
I think so. I've seen those more often at like NBA games when they bring the guys out and between the timeouts or whatever, and they do the high flying dunks.
Yeah, those are awesome to see.
Do you like those?
I love watching those, sure. I never get up during halftime because of that. Yeah.
All right.
I'm strapped to my seat.
You know what they should do to me, in my opinion, at every sports game ever during the halftime?
Yeah.
The only thing they should do is have the Little League teams play.
Oh, that gets you, huh?
It's just the cutest thing ever. Like, I don't need to see a dance routine or some corny anything, but whenever they have like the 5-year-olds out there playing basketball on the big court or football, that's all I need.
What about the guy who climbs an increasingly high stack of chairs? I like that guy a lot.
It's not bad.
Okay.
Is he spinning a plate?
No. Sometimes he'll do handstands on the top. It's really thrilling.
Yeah, I'll take that.
You need to watch more halftime shows. But okay, so that's basically what you described was a trampoline. That's a trampoline. There's like variations to it for sure. There's competition trampolines. They tend to be rectangular.
Right.
They actually have specific dimensions because they're competition, so they have to all kind of have like a universal size, but usually something like 10 feet by 17 feet. I think the ones that they use in college are a little smaller, but not too much.
Did you watch any of that stuff?
Yeah, it's entrancing.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Because it's not slow motion when you're the one doing the bouncing, but when you're watching it from afar, because the mind kind of makes the point from when you bounce to when you next bounce again is kind of like one complete cycle. It does kind of take a second. So it does kind of seem like the whole thing's happening in slow motion to the mind.
Yeah, it is very lulling. Maybe that's why I'm tired.
I think it is. Because you were lulled to sleep by trampoline watching.
So yeah, the rectangular ones are the competition, but when you go out to the country is when you'll see the round ones, the octagonal ones, and the hexagonal ones. Yeah,
and the ones that you see like that people have bought for their home use, they're very frequently they're going to have nets around the sides.
Yeah.
So that if you start to go off the side of the trampoline, the net catches you and throws you back into the center, the mat of the trampoline.
Which we did not have when we were children.
No, we did not. It was you're off. It's called thinning the herd, I think was the model I had, the herd thinner.
Yeah, in fact, they even had a land moat full of nails and sharp glass surrounding the trampoline.
That's right. And armadillos with leprosy.
Oh, wow.
But the ones in competition, they don't have nets. And there's a really good reason why. Not because they're daredevils and thrill seekers, but because the people in competitions tend to jump so high that the nets wouldn't do any good. They just go right over the side.
Unless they had super tall nets.
I guess so. But, I mean, once you get into nets that are too tall, it becomes kind of cost prohibitive, you know?
Yeah, plus it ended up looking like one of those indoor skydiving tubes.
Right, which we've done.
That was fun.
That was kind of fun. And that footage is lost forever. I can't find it anywhere.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, I like that one.
Was it me or you that got thrown against the side at the end?
It was me.
For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, we did some Toyota commercials years ago. It was funny. We were much more marketable early on than we are now.
Yeah.
But they flew us out to California and we did a Toyota commercial as we were both indoor skydiving. And it was pretty interesting and fun.
Yeah. I think my line was, "You're just telling me that now?"
Yeah.
And then I lose control and bump into the side of the wall.
It's harder than it looks. You don't just, it's very taxing on the muscles.
It really is. It was fun, though, too. I had a good time.
Should we take a break?
No.
No?
No, because we're not done with this part yet.
Okay,
you ready?
Yes.
We're getting there, Chuck. We're getting there. By the way, I should probably explain to everybody. Chuck thinks that this is going to be like the the Jackhammer episode, which he and I agree is our worst episode ever. I think that it's patently wrong. So let's prove him wrong, everybody.
Okay.
So there's one other thing I wanted to talk about before we go to break, Chuck.
Okay.
Aside from what the trampoline is, which I feel like we've done a pretty good job of defining it to this point. All right?
Yes.
The physics of a trampoline are actually pretty fascinating because if you look at the outside of the trampoline, it's like you said, that mat, that fabric that you actually jump on has a little bit of give.
Sure.
But where the trampoline gets the most give is from those springs that are attaching the fabric mat to the frame, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So what that means then is because there's all these springs working together, the trampoline itself is actually, physics-wise, a giant spring. And the reason why when you jump on a trampoline, it shoots you back up into the air is because you're combining two kinds of energy. Kinetic energy, which is the movement, the energy from you jumping up and down on something. And then there's also elastic potential energy, which is the stored energy those springs have when they're extended and they want to go back to their normal shape.
Yeah.
And so as all of this energy gets stretched out and then goes back to its normal tension, it directs all that stored energy and that energy that's turned into actual energy toward the center, which is where you happen to be, and it launches you back up into the air.
Somewhere Tracy Wilson is smiling.
Right, exactly. One more thing. Mouth parts. So I think now we can take a break, don't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Learning stuff with Joshua and Charles. Stuff you should know.
Hey everybody, I want to talk to you a little bit about Tide Evo because it represents over 10 years of innovation and product development. Tide Evo is a first-of-its-kind technology where tens of thousands of minuscule fibers are spun together to form a 6 times powerful layer packed with scrubbers, brighteners, pre-treaters, and fresheners. And that's going to deliver a breakthrough clean that's so powerful it feels like magic.
Yeah, it is kind of like magic. Tide Evo is revolutionary. A 100% concentrated waterless laundry tile that's made of compressed microfiber soap layers rather than liquid or powder. And it's not like pods or sheets because it uses 6 layers of detergent fibers to deliver superior cold water cleaning without plastic packaging of any kind. And it provides a mess-free, lightweight solution that dissolves lickety-split. So whenever you run into a laundry challenge, turn to Tide Evo. It's revolutionary. It's magic. Try new Tide Evo. Real laundry magic.
Everyone knows winter is the real mess maker. You don't need WeatherTech floor liners for summer unless you hit the beach and half the beach ends up back in your car, or the campsite dirt ends up in your trunk. Then you'd want a cargo liner, or a road trip goes sideways, lemonade spills, ketchup goes rogue, ice cream drips. Yeah, you'd be pretty happy about those WeatherTech seat protectors. So just to be clear, as the mud you're inevitably going to step in this summer, you don't need WeatherTech unless you plan on doing summer. Visit WeatherTech.com today.
Stuff you should know.
All right, Chuck, we're back. And I think it's time to talk a little history of trampolines.
Yeah. So earlier you teased that this was sort of an invention of its own. Like there was no predecessor really to the trampoline aside from Inuit people tossing people up in the air, Lebowski style.
Right.
So the credit for the trampoline is roundly, I don't think there's anyone that disputes this, right?
No, it's George Nissen for sure.
Yeah, George Nissen and a man named Larry Clark Griswold.
Right.
And we'll get to their story and how Larry figured in, but it was really George Nissen's brainchild between 1930 and 1936, like you said earlier. It took a little while to get it just right. Mm-hmm. But when George was a little boy in 1930, he was 16, I guess medium-sized boy.
Sure.
And he was watching the trapeze artists, and you know how they have that net, and they leap off the trapeze at the end, and they do a flourish, and they land on the net, and then they usually do a couple of little flips, and then land on the net again, and then that cool move where they hold on to the net and flip out and land on their feet very gracefully.
Right.
Little George saw this and was like, everyone's wild about this trapeze. He's like, the best part is that end when they get on that net. I should make one of those.
Yeah, he wanted one where you didn't just bounce once, basically, get one bounce of it, but that you could just keep bouncing and bouncing and bouncing. And he's like, I'm going to go home and make something like this, because he was a gymnast at the time already.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense once you know that, I think.
Exactly. He was a gymnast who went to circus performances and then was inspired by that net. And so he actually went home, got, I guess, spare metal parts from like a junkyard, from what I can tell, got his hands on a canvas mat and affixed the two things together. And
he broke his ankles.
Basically, it did not work very well at first. I mean, it had some bounce to it. It was, as far as like an early proof of concept goes, it worked in that respect. But that was about it. And he called it a bouncing rig, and he put it down in his parents' basement, I believe, and then went off to the University of Iowa to study business and join the gymnastics team. And joining the gymnastics team at the University of Iowa turned out to be pretty fateful, because it was there that he met the man who would become his co-inventor in the trampoline, Larry Griswold.
Yeah, I wonder if leaving that trampoline prototype in his parents' basement it had to have been the first instance of what would be hundreds of thousands of mini trampolines left in their parents' basements.
Yeah, apparently George Nissen's dad was not all that happy about the trampoline thing. He was not a true believer as far as the trampoline was concerned.
All right, so he goes to school, like you said. He met Coach Larry Griswold. We call him Clark around here. And I guess he thought this was a good idea. He shared it with his coach, and he's like, you know what? I'm a little older, I have a little more experience. Why don't you let me help you with this thing?
Right.
And they built a different prototype. This time they had a nylon mat. They used grommets, which obviously made it a little sturdier.
Right.
And the springs, they subbed in bicycle inner tubes.
Yeah, because I'm not even sure that he used springs. He just somehow attached the canvas to the frame.
Yeah.
So when they added bicycle tubes, that gave it way more give, and it worked a lot better. And they knew that they were onto something just with this. I'm sure they knew it could be improved, but this was a pretty good first start that they worked on at the University of Iowa.
Yeah, so between then and I guess 1937, they introduced the steel coils in 1934, and they really had the trampoline going at this point.
Yep.
Although it was not called the trampoline until Nissen in 1937 traveled all over North America performing routines under the name, with two of his friends, under the name The Three Leonardos, which is a very 1937 thing to do.
It really is.
And they went to Mexico, and they learned that there was a Spanish name for this bouncing rig, like the springboard, called a trampoline, or I guess lean without the E on the end.
Right.
And he said, hey, I'm just going to add an E on the end, trademark that thing, and I've appropriated something from another culture.
I read on educatorpages.com that while down in Mexico, he learned the Mexican word for springboard was trampoline.
Yeah?
The Mexican word.
Oh, that's what they said?
On educatorpages.com. I was just disappointed enough that I wanted to point it out.
Well, I mean, sure, there are Mexican specific words.
This is not one of them.
Okay.
This is a Spanish word.
I gotcha. I was just trying to make that clear.
So George, this is great. I've been calling this thing a bouncing rig, but this trampoline word is way better. I'm going to call this a trampoline, like Chuck said, and trademark it. And that was a huge improvement for this thing, because they had something by this time. They had a really great invention going, but now they had a name, and kind of a catchy name, and one that even made sense as well. A springboard, by the way, is one of those, those little things you jump on to get onto the pole, or the pommel horse.
Yeah.
That's a springboard.
Yeah. Or what's it called? The vault. Is that what they use for the vault?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So this is kind of what inspired him to say that is somewhat tied to this. It's a great name. I'll probably never sell one of these in Mexico. I'm just going to take it and, like you said, appropriate it. So now he had a great invention. He had a name, and he and Griswold founded the Griswold-Nissen Trampoline and Tumbling Company in 1942, and started selling these things. Not exactly like hotcakes at first. I believe they sold 10 in their first year, and George Nissen's dad suggested that they had satisfied the world's need for trampolines by this time in the first 10. I'm telling you, he wasn't really on board.
He's kind of snarky.
But his son ended up really rubbing the dog poop in his dad's face because trampolines started to take off pretty quick.
So they both agreed, though, the two partners, Griswold, Nissen, that in order to sell this thing, they had to demonstrate it. It's not the kind of thing you can just... It was so revolutionary, my friend, that they couldn't just throw an ad up.
Right.
But at the time, Griswold, the former coach, had a little touring routine, a diving. They were both divers. I don't think we mentioned that, competitive divers.
George Nissen was too?
Oh yeah, Nissen, well, not a competitor or not a professional, but he did two things. He did gymnastics and diving.
Oh, okay.
So Griswold was touring the country doing a comedy act, a diving board comedy act. Called, what was it, the Diving Fool?
The Diving Fool. It has to be seen to be believed.
Yeah, so I kind of do the same routine every summer at neighborhood pools. He'd stagger around pretending to be like drunk at a pool and falling off the diving board and doing all these tricks and things like that.
The difference is you're not pretending, right?
I am a drunken diving fool.
Get a couple of Bloody Caesars in you.
That's right.
Although you just call them Bloody Marys, right?
Well, what was the Caesar part?
The Clamato.
Oh, yeah, I never knew that.
Yes, you did. I told you that.
Well, no,
years
I mean,
ago.
I never knew it until you told me years ago.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
But in any case, the diving fool was something that Griswold was actually making a little bit of money at. And I guess he was, touring the country and wooing the ladies. So he was like, I kind of like this over trampolining. And so are you interested in buying out the shares of this company? And Nissen said, sure.
Yeah.
Why
he
not?
said, thanks a lot, chump.
Yeah.
I will take over this company myself.
And then Nissen started touring around, and this is when the demonstrations really took hold.
Yeah.
He and his wife, who was an acrobat named Annie de Vries.
She's like a Dutch high wire artist, I
Yeah.
believe. And you have to understand, like now in the world we live in, the world we were born into, Chuck, like trampolines they're a thing. It seems like they've always been around. This is at a time where you had to go take them places to demonstrate them. Or when Larry Griswold was doing his diving fool thing, when he gets to the end, it looks like he's going to dive into a pool, and when he dives in, it turns out there's a trampoline hidden behind this thing that looks like a pool, so he would bounce back up.
That's probably pretty great if you're a kid.
Yeah, but also I think even adults at the time were like, what just happened?
Yeah, exactly.
He just produced magic. So
Yeah.
and you can actually see it. There's a bit of him doing it on the Sinatra show in 1951.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
And you can hear the crowds going berserk over this kind of stuff. But anyway, so he, like you said, he decides that's he's better off doing that, sells out to Nissen, and then Nissen starts touring to demonstrate the trampoline. And he had a real flair for this. He studied business, like I said, at University of Iowa. I'm sure the trampoline probably would have taken off regardless, but thanks to George Nissen, he really did a good job at promoting it and making it catch on, especially in the 60s and the 50s.
Yeah, he went around the world, actually, and he would do things like in Central Park, he would bounce with a kangaroo. I'm sure that got some pretty good attention.
Yeah, he rented a kangaroo for this photo shoot, and then basically shared the photo with like the Associated Press, who spread it around the world.
Absolutely. He went to Russia. He went to Egypt and did tricks atop the pyramids. And as a result, and of course, because it's the 1950s, that's kind of when something like this would really, it just makes sense that it took hold then. And that's when it became a legit fad. And there were people buying trampolines. There were trampoline bounce centers, which apparently are big now again, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to one of those?
I told you that's where my Instagram photo spread was taken.
Oh, I thought yours was just a regular trampoline.
No, it's at one of those bounce centers.
So what are there, just trampolines everywhere?
Yes,
There's
everywhere.
the whole floor trampoline.
No, they're everywhere, built into the floors. There's places that you kind of walk in between them, but for the most part, it's like these giant, the bags that like a stuntman falls onto from high above.
Sure.
They have those built into the floor. They have trampolines everywhere, trampolines in the walls at angles. I would say you got to go, but don't. Or if you go, just poke your head in and just leave.
Yeah, I don't. I've got. I don't want to say weak ankles because that makes me. I don't know how that makes me sound.
Makes you sound like a thoroughbred horse.
But I don't like it. Oh, okay. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I step off a curb wrong, it's not fun. So
you don't need to be
I
trampolining.
don't want a trampoline. Not at this age.
You shouldn't.
But earlier, I guess we should mention that his idea was, like all good business people, wasn't just so singular, like, hey, maybe we can sell these to kids.
Mm-hmm.
He thought, because he was a gymnast, we can use these for training in gymnastics, anything where there's tumbling or falling. We think we can like sell this, including to the military and to NASA.
Yeah, there were two things that he really saw early on that they could be used for training. Like you said, tumbling or that kind of thing, but also like diving, where you're doing aerial tricks.
Yeah.
And it's not like you just know how to do those tricks. It takes a ton of practice. Well, it really sucks to have to go get out of the pool, climb back up the ladder,
Yeah.
walk down and try it again every time.
Dry off, have a smoke,
Right.
drink a beer, do it again.
If you have like a harness on, you can practice this stuff in midair just from a trampoline with every bounce. You don't have to climb back up the ladder. You can practice bounce after bounce, and then you could take it up onto the diving board. So that was one. And then the other, like you said, the military and eventually NASA, to get pilots adjusted to disorienting body positions, like tumbling
that
head
was
over
interesting, I
heels, through the air, and learning how to keep their orientation even when their body's flipping all over the place. And the military bought into it. They said, yeah, that's a really good idea. So much so that when George Nissen was assigned to a pre-flight center in the Navy, I think St. Mary's College outside of Oakland, he found that they were already using trampolines for training before he even got there. So it had his invention preceded him before he even showed up to proselytize it.
Yeah, and like if you think about getting on a trampoline, if it's been a lot of years, you probably remember like, yeah, it's easy. You just get on it and jump, dum-dum.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, if you're like seriously trampolining like we were doing in elementary school,
Mm-hmm.
like we would learn tricks and stuff like that. It's aerobic. It improves your agility and balance. There's a lot of like muscle work going on. So it's not, sure you can just jump up and down like in like Tom Hanks in Big.
Sure.
But if you want to do tricks and things like that and jumps and spins, there's athleticism involved for sure.
Yeah, you can get really good at it, in other words. There's one other thing, then you want to take a break in a second?
Yeah.
So trampoline is one of my favorite things now. It's a proprietary eponym, right?
Yeah.
Which means it's generic, but it used to be a trademark name, like you said. And then it got so popular that by the 60s, George Nissen just got tired of trying to fight unauthorized use of it. So he stopped enforcing his trademark and it became generic. But up to the 60s, anytime somebody in the news was describing a trampoline, they had to call it like bounce, tumbling, or just make up some words to get the point across without using the term trampoline because it was trademarked at the time.
Yeah, rebound tumbling was a pretty good one, I thought.
It's not bad. So how about that break?
Yeah, let's do it.
I thought you were going to get me back and say no.
No.
All right, let's do it.
Learning stuff with Joshua and Charles. Stuff you should know.
Hey, everybody. I want to talk to you a little bit about Tide Evo because it represents over 10 years of innovation and product development. Tide Evo is a first-of-its-kind technology where tens of thousands of minuscule fibers are spun together to form a 6 times powerful layer packed with scrubbers, brighteners, pre-treaters, and fresheners. And that's going to deliver a breakthrough clean that's so powerful, it feels like magic.
Yeah, it is kind of like magic. Tide Evo is revolutionary. A 100% concentrated, waterless laundry tile that's made of compressed microfiber soap layers rather than liquid or powder. And it's not like pods or sheets because it uses 6 layers of detergent fibers to deliver superior cold water cleaning without plastic packaging of any kind. And it provides a mess-free, lightweight solution that dissolves lickety-split. So whenever you run into a laundry challenge, turn to Tide Evo. It's revolutionary. It's magic. Try new Tide Evo. Real laundry magic.
Everyone knows winter is the real mess maker. You don't need WeatherTech floor liners for summer unless you hit the beach and half the beach ends up back in your car, or the campsite dirt ends up in your trunk. Then you'd want a cargo liner, or a road trip goes sideways, lemonade spills, ketchup goes rogue, ice cream drips. Yeah, you'd be pretty happy about those WeatherTech seat protectors. So just to be clear, as the mud you're inevitably going to step in this summer, you don't need WeatherTech unless you plan on doing summer. Visit WeatherTech.com today.
Stuff you should know.
All right, Chuck. So trampolining is an actual sport. Like you said, it requires a lot of like fitness and you can get really good at it. And there's a lot of tricks you can learn and do. And although it's not technically an NCAA sport, you can find it competitively in colleges, enough colleges so that there are colleges that compete against one another in trampoline matches. It's just not sanctioned by the NCAA like, say, basketball or softball or football is.
Yeah, I get the feeling it's one of those fringe sports that if enough people, and in this case it's probably gymnastics or gymnasts, they would say, hey, they would go to the school and say, hey, we got like 12 people here who want to get on the trampoline and compete.
Right.
Can we do this? And they'll say, sure, we can allocate you like $600 a year. and I've got a trampoline at my house.
Right.
But yeah, they compete, and that's great. However, early on, this was actually that seems like something that would have happened more recently. All the way back in 1964, they held the World Championship in London at Royal Albert Hall, of all places.
Right.
And this was when Nissen was still trying to, the 50s they really sold well. The 60s they were selling okay. But like all fads, I think he saw the writing on the wall. So things like the World Championships and trying to get sports, legitimate sports leagues or whatever going was pretty important, I think, to him.
Yeah, I guess from that first fad, though, in the 60s, like the real heyday of trampolines, it started to become a sport. But rather than people saying, like, this is a thing, let's get together, it's like you're saying, like, one school, like one group of gymnasts went to their school and said, hey, we want to do this. And that happened at other schools and other schools. And before you know it, there are enough schools to compete against one another. And so there is actual events. There are now like collegiate trampoline events that, again, aren't sanctioned by the NCAA, as far as I know, or they didn't used to be. They may be now, because beginning in 2000, like the biggest of the big happened to trampolining, and what started out as just a training thing became an actual Olympic event. There's now a trampoline event in the Olympics starting as of 2000 in Sydney.
Yeah, which Nissen lived to see that, which was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. The little kind of silly invention that he had so many years earlier became an Olympic sport, and that was, I'm sure, a very, very big day for him.
Yeah, because, I mean, not only was he the inventor, he was like a tireless, what is it called when people
Promoter?
go? Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chuck.
We're not very good at that part either.
No.
Promotion.
So he was a tireless, he was a tireless promoter of it too. So I think it meant quite a bit to him to see like his invention become an actual Olympic sport, because he was a trained gymnast. Like this was his thing. He wasn't, like the inventor of the Etch-a-Sketch or something like that, whereas he just accidentally happened to like come across this idea. This is like really important to him, and it became an Olympic sport, this thing that he invented.
That's right.
I just think that's really cool. Plus also, he was such a gymnast through and through. I read that he was still able to do handstands in his 80s.
Wow.
And headstands into his 90s.
Wow, maybe they just couldn't tell his head from his butt at that point, and they thought he was doing a headstand.
Maybe so. That's usually how it goes by then.
Oh, boy. So if you're at a collegiate trampoline event, you may see synchronized tramping.
Did you watch that?
Yeah, it's cool. Like any synchronized event, it's all about trying to exactly mirror one another, doing the same thing side by side on two different trampolines.
Yeah.
It's very cool. I'm
such a brat. I was watching. I'm like, oh, they're not in sync.
That's the whole
not
game,
in sync
though, man.
again.
You know?
Out of sync. Yep.
And you're like, maybe I'm not watching the synchronized.
Or I'm looking at it from the wrong angle.
Is my internet working? Because these guys are not on the same page. In the Olympics, though, they don't have that. They have 2 events, and you're not likely to see these on TV. This is not burning up the airwaves. Mm-hmm. You probably have to have, I'm sure you can get some Olympic package where you get everything. But Olympic trampolining has 2 events, the men's and the women's individual.
Right.
And like most sports like this, there's a compulsory routine where they say, all right, you've got to do these predetermined tricks. And then the voluntary routine where you really let your creative juices as a trampoliner show and shine. And you get 10 bounces and you can do whatever you want. Well, I don't know about whatever you want, but you do, these fancy combinations of tricks in those 10 bounces. I also noticed on the Olympic trampoline, there was like a target in the center and another box around that. And I didn't look it up, but I got the feeling that you kind of had to stay within that, unless that's just for the benefit of the jumper. Because I saw them land outside of it a couple of times, and I heard the announcers go, ooh. Yeah, so I don't know if that's a penalty deduction, like vaulting off the mat or something. Or
yeah, no, I could totally see that for sure.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. But they are judged on flight time, which is awesome, execution, and difficulty.
Right. And then if they go through a bounce and don't do a trick on that bounce, they lose points for that too.
Yeah. Well, so they're like, what are you doing? What are you at the rec center?
That was a waste of everyone's time.
And of course, it's, highest cumulative score wins.
Yep. So originally it looked like Russia was going to be the big trampoliners in the world.
Of course.
The Russians won the men's and women's gold in Sydney. So the first ever gold for trampolining the Russians won. And then all of a sudden China comes out of nowhere and they start dominating. I believe Dong Dong is the world's most decorated trampoline athlete with gold, silver, and bronze to his name.
Nice.
Not bad. But if you're talking women's trampoline, you want to go to Canada because they are as good as it gets, starring Rosanna McClellan and Karen Cockburn, who are Canada's 2 big trampolinists.
Trampolinists? Is that it? I've been saying trampoliner.
Oh, I think it's whatever you want it to be. It's only very recently an Olympic event, so it's kind of a free-for-all to call it whatever you like.
Yeah, so before we get into the downer, which is injuries and sadly deaths from trampolining, we'll mention a few other kind of crazy sports that, like the NBA during halftime or timeouts, people have tried to incorporate trampolines into other sports or maybe just invented sports out of whole cloth. And they're always a little goofy.
A tad.
Right?
A little.
So 1964, Spaceball, which I had never heard of before. Just YouTube this and check it out.
Yeah.
It's much less impressive than it sounds when you finally watch it.
Yeah, because, Spaceball has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that it was, created during the height of the space race. It's the only reason I can possibly come up with that it's called Spaceball.
Yeah, and I said, in here it says Spaceball had teams of 2. I only saw one person at a time, so would they sub in and out?
I don't know, because I think we saw the same video.
A
really off-puttingly lighted black and white video. Yeah. And it's almost like, I think one guy checks his watch in the middle of the match.
Well, they were goofing around, and one guy hid the ball under his shirt and was like, what? What happened?
Yeah. But they're all bouncing this whole time. And the point is, so there's like a trampoline. There's 2 different trampolines. Each guy's on a trampoline. In between their 2 trampolines, the thing they're facing is a net. In between the net is a tunnel, and that's where the ball goes through. And the point is to try to get the ball through the tunnel to hit the other guy's backstop trampoline.
Yeah.
Which is, from what I saw in that video, and I guess you did too, is utterly impossible to get it past the person. It's not weird. A great game. No, but this is, I don't know if George Nissen created it or helped develop it or what, but it was one of those things where it's like, the fad's starting to wane. Let's come up with new uses for the trampoline. So Spaceball didn't catch on.
No.
But then years later, other people have been like, hey, let's not give up the ghost. There are other things you can do with the trampoline, like slam ball, which actually is kind of awesome to watch.
Now, see, I didn't find slam ball that all I saw was people doing dunks. I didn't see a real 4-on-4 basketball game.
It's not exactly like 4-on-4 basketball in that you can, like, it's more like rugby mixed with basketball with trampolines.
So you're not dribbling, probably, right?
No, you're not. And somebody can just knock you right off of your feet and stop the ball from moving. But the point is, and what everybody comes to see is right in front of the net, there's a big, ground level trampoline that you jump on and do like an amazing dunk.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
It's not bad. Then there's Bossa Ball.
This is crazy.
Like literally, it is crazy.
Yeah, it is 1 part volleyball, 1 part soccer.
10 parts trampoline.
Well, and there's trampoline, but also the whole, imagine, well, you should just watch this one too. But imagine a big inflatable volleyball court.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of sand, let's say, the whole thing is like a big sort of bouncy inflatable area. And then the center part of that and around the net are actual trampolines built into that.
Right.
So people are bouncing around the outside.
Yeah.
They're doing sets and stuff. And then if you're on the trampoline part, you jump up and you can use your feet. That's where the soccer comes in.
Yeah, so you can do like bicycle and rainbow kicks.
Yeah, or you can use your hands.
Right. So you can spike it really hard from high up above the net.
Yeah, and I get the impression that using your feet just gets you extra points or something.
Yep, and
otherwise, why would you?
There's also, well, just to show off, I think there's a lot of glory involved there.
Yeah.
But also the reason it's called Bossa Ball is because it's named after bossa nova, a type of samba music. And it's like you have to play to samba music or else it's not an official Bossa Ball match. So, it's like you said, you have to go watch it. There's
and this
no
is
way.
in Spain, by the way. I don't think we pointed that out.
Spain, I think also Brazil, too.
Yeah, well, of course.
Yeah. But it's fun to watch. It's great. It's another thing you can do with trampolines.
It's the coolest of all of them, I think.
I don't know. I like my slam ball.
You like slam ball?
No one likes space ball, though.
You know what I don't like about slam ball is it's the same thing at the NBA games. These guys do these big dunks, and they're like beating their chest, like, yeah. And I'm just like, dude, like, you used a trampoline. It's not like, I mean, it's still impressive. I couldn't go out there and do that right off the bat, but
sure, it'd take you 2-3 tries.
I don't know. They're just acting like they're ballers and stuff. And I'm sure the players on the court are just like, God, get these guys out of here.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
So that's my gripe.
I'm with you. I feel you, man.
But you're like, but it's just so fun.
I like watching it. How about this? This is how you'd like it. If they had elementary school basketball players do it.
Yeah, I'd be into that.
Yeah. So you would never want to put an elementary school player on a slam ball trampoline or a trampoline at all, at least according to the American Academy of Pediatrics. And by the way, I want to just pluck my shirt lapels a little bit here. My segues are killing it in this episode. I don't know if you've noticed. I know you have.
Oh, I have.
But, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, and I just stumbled all over my segue just now with that. So, the American Academy of Pediatrics, get this, says do not let kids 6 or under on a trampoline. Just don't. That's what they open with their guidelines for trampolines. If you're under 6 or 6 or under, don't go on a trampoline. Your bones are too underdeveloped and a trampoline is too dangerous. And until I researched this, I knew trampolines are dangerous, but they're like funny, haha, dangerous. Like that one episode of The Simpsons where Homer gets a free trampoline and turns his backyard into a trampoline park. And every kid who jumps on it like breaks an arm or breaks their back or something like that. So it's funny like that. No, actually it's like dangerous in about, it's like lawn dart level dangerous, basically.
Yeah, I mean, nothing will drive that home like some 18-year-old statistics. But in the early 2000s, this is what we have.
I've got newer ones.
Well, I imagine it's about the same. Over a 4-year period, there were 93,000 emergency room visits. And I guess this is the United States.
Yeah.
Over a 4-year period. And here's the thing. Like, a broken arm, that's not great, but it's not the worst thing in the world.
Right.
But over 2,000 of those 93,000 were traumatic brain injuries. And
those are pretty bad.
Yeah, between children between the ages of 5 and 18. And the American Academy of Pediatrics basically says, it's the risk, like the risk of catastrophic injury. That's the differentiator between this and just like playing baseball or whatever. Like if you get hurt on a trampoline, it's a very good chance that you might really, really be hurt.
Yeah, because I mean, like nobody trampolines with a helmet on or with shoulder pads on. You're getting,
you can't be that kid at the park.
No, you can't. Your parents would just be like, I'd rather you get a brain injury than have to look like that kid on the trampoline at the trampoline park. The padding that you put on the trampoline that goes around like the springs and the frame and everything, that's supposed to be replaced like every year or two.
Yeah.
No one ever does that. So that's actually like a really dangerous invention, like much more dangerous than people realize. And some people will point to it and say, actually, bikes, swimming, these things put more kids in the hospital every year than trampolines. True, but it's much more likely that kids are going to be biking or swimming than they are going to be trampolining. And so it's possible that comparatively speaking, trampolines are the most dangerous activity kids can engage in. It's possible. It's not proven, but it's the statistics are there that it would be not surprising to a lot of people if that panned out to be the case.
Yeah, and by far the most dangerous thing as far as trampolines go that you can let your kid do is get on there with 5 or 6 other kids. Mm-hmm. And it's fun and it looks like a big party and kids love it. But 80% of these injuries are when there are multiple users on there at the same time.
Yep, because you bounce into one another, you can crack heads.
It's mayhem.
You can get, there's that, that errant bounce that you weren't expecting and it shoots you off in a direction that you weren't
You try to do that
on.
as a kid.
Exactly.
You try and like double jump people so they'll jump higher. Mm-hmm. And, kids don't understand angles in physics.
They understand physics enough that they try to counteract another kid's bounce and time it perfectly so that the frequency is the opposite, so that the kid who's coming down and rather than bouncing, they're just hitting the upward momentum of that trampoline mat just so that it's like hitting the ground, right?
Yeah.
And there's actually something called trampoline ankle, where in kids the growth plate, the plate where their ankle bones are growing together still. If that gets fractured, and it can get fractured from that very same kind of thing where the bounce is it's coming back as they're coming down. Apparently, it can be like landing on the concrete from a 9-foot drop.
Ah.
Yeah, and these little fragile bones that are still growing can be broken, and when they start to grow again, their development can be all kinds of messed up. So there's something called trampoline ankle that I think physicians in Ottawa in Canada have identified that is an actual thing.
Well, American Academy of Pediatrics does have a list of things. You already mentioned no kids under 6 at all. Mm-hmm. Safety netting, of course, all that padding on the ground. This is a good one. No ladders near the trampoline, people, because a little kid's going to find that and climb up. Don't try flips and big tricks like that unless you're trained to do so. And only one person at a time. That's the big, big, big rule.
Yep.
Don't get on there with a bunch of kids. You're just asking for it.
Right, which is why some people point to these trampoline parks. It's like, well, wait a minute. A lot of the kids here are under 6. The whole point is to stuff as many kids onto a trampoline or a bounce pit or whatever as possible. That's where most of the fun comes from. And there have been a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, but there have been some very high-profile deaths of mostly adults at these places where like grown men have like broken their necks, suffered traumatic spinal injuries, have become paralyzed, have died. A New York Yankees pitcher had a compound fracture of his ankle.
Yeah, don't do it.
And almost died from blood loss. So there was an advocacy group that went away. I think their last post was 2016. But they're called Think Before You Bounce. But even without looking them up, go research this before you go to your next trampoline park, and I guarantee you will second guess it.
I thought that group was for recommendations before you decide to leave a party. No?
Nope.
Oh, interesting.
Dad joke alert. They're coming harder and faster these days. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
By the way, I said I had more up-to-date statistics. Get this. An Indiana University study found that between 2002 and 2011, Not 93,000 in 4 years. 1 million plus ER visits in the U.S.
And
in
how,
9
over what
years.
period?
9 years.
Wow.
That's a lot of ER visits from trampolines.
Well, hopefully that number's going down because trampoline sales for people in homes have been going down since 2004. So maybe people are just realizing it's too dangerous.
Who knows?
Or at least sink them into the ground so you don't have as far to fall.
That is one thing. It is one thing, Chuck.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to know more about trampolines, I guess go read up on it. I would say go jump on it, but just don't. And since I said just don't, that means it's time for listener mail.
Yeah, this is a two-parter. The first part is just going to be us issuing a sort of retraction/apology during the Michael Dillon episode recently. Trans pioneer Michael Dillon, we decided, which was not a good idea, to mirror Dillon's own experience in life and his own transition using the pronouns that he himself used, trying to make a point that there weren't even names for this stuff back then. And we had quite a few trans listeners that wrote in, all very kind about it, and said, hey, listen, what you do now is you refer to that person from their moment of birth. Like, it doesn't matter about their journey and even what pronouns they used at the time. Like, what you really need to do is just refer to that person by the gender they identify with from conception on. Or not conception, but, from birth on.
Right. And, yeah, like you said, everybody who wrote in was very nice and gentle about it.
Yeah, they know we meant well.
Right, exactly. So thanks to everybody who wrote in to let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, what's part 2?
Well, part 2 is along the same lines, and this is just a good tip. I always love getting these just sort of nudges about, like, current best practices for language. This is from Anne. Hey, guys, and Jerry. I've been listening for at least a decade and have really enjoyed learning so much over the years. I really appreciate how you handle language. I'm an English teacher, and you're always trying to use the most appropriate and sensitive term for any group. Recently, I listened to the Black Loyalist episode and was reminded of something I read a little while ago, which recommended using the term enslaved person rather than slave to help express that the state of slavery was not some quality of these humans, but the result of an action by enslavers. She said, I'd never thought of that, but have been trying to use that language in my classroom, and I thought I'd pass it along. Keep up the good work, and thanks for all the knowledge. And that is from Anne.
Thanks, Anne.
That's a good one. Enslaved
person. It is a good one. And it really goes to the heart of, like, language does so much. We use it to, like, it's justify things, legitimize things, to diminish people. Like, it's crazy how important language is. So that was a good tip, too.
Yeah. So to the people out there that think, big deal, it's not important, like, language is important. It's more than just words.
It's how we communicate, chump.
Yeah. You really shouldn't use the word chump, though, because nowadays we say...
You chumped person?
A chumped person. That's good.
Thank you. What were you going to say?
I didn't have one. I'm glad you came through.
I swooped in at the last moment.
Yeah.
If you want to get in touch with us like Ann did, or like all the people who let us know what we got way, way wrong on the Michael Dillon episode, and again, thanks for that, you can go to our website. It's called stuffyoushouldknow.com, and there you will find all of our social links. You can also send us all an email to stuffpodcast@iheartradio.com.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio's How Stuff Works. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
Mom, can I have Lingo Kids? Dad, Lingo Kids, please!
When did we become the Lingo Kids house?
No idea. Last week it was dinosaurs. This week it's...
Lingo Kids!
Why Lingo Kids?
Because it's the best thing ever. We can play games with astronauts, wild animals, and superheroes.
With more than 4,000 interactive games, songs, and shows, Lingo Kids is the #1 entertainment platform for young kids.
So, no dinosaurs?
And dinosaurs! Lingo Kids!
Everything kids love. Download it for free.
You know, you could be adored by everyone and still completely ignored by your cat. Trust me, I know. But if you feed your cat Sheba, you can go from being ignored to truly adored in 12 days guaranteed or your money back.
Sheba has a full menu of products, appetizers, entrees, treats, even a kitten's menu. It's so cute, so Sheba has a product for even the pickiest eater. Like Sheba Puree, it's made with bone broth, they are chef-inspired flavors, it's got a smooth and creamy texture that cats love, and contains no corn, wheat, soy, or artificial flavors. It's food that your cat's gonna love. To learn more, check out Sheba.com. That's SHEBA.com.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.